Hello there, my friends, and welcome to the Glow Up Method. This is the space, this is the place for you to discover who it is you are, to pursue this life that makes you proud, to make decisions for you independent of others. And I know that is such a challenging thing to do. Hi there, my name is Natasha, and I am so lucky, blessed, honored, and grateful to be your host today. So today I come to you. It's been a little bit of a wonky kind of week, right? Like a couple weeks, and I feel like I'm almost been in a whirlwind, and yet I can see the shore, but I am not quite there yet. Like this has been a crazy year for me. At one point of the year, I had nothing, planned, right? Like it was the beginning of the year. Chris and I were in a sense dating. We were, reconnecting. That was such a strange shift from the years of literally almost despising being in the same room with him. I know that sounds so rude, but like it was, I'm sure the feeling was mutual. He just, like, the soul spirit of him just got on my nerves, and I try to be in peace, and I try to be like appreciative of where we were and grateful for him as the father of my kids. I often struggled with that. I felt very just like unheard, unseen, undervalued, unappreciated, all those things, right? Again, I say so many things I was outsourcing to him or others to, love me, to make me feel this thing that was missing. And what I realized was it didn't matter how much he loved me. It didn't matter how much anybody else loved me. I still felt unfulfilled and unloved. Why? Because I didn't love me. Like it really was this thing. And I think about it often when I was a little girl, and even until I was, into my 40s, my like major thing I would think, like when I would break down, I would sometimes verbally say it, like, nobody loves me. And I still almost contend with it, right? Like, not that nobody loves me, more so like I always feel like no one wants to help, right? Like, and I'm just this helper by nature, I see a problem and I'm like, what can I do to help? Here's some solutions. Hey, if I don't have a solution, here's somebody else who does. Oh, somebody else is like, I really do want to help people, like at my nature. And maybe because nobody ever helped me, or at least it felt like it did. I know that that's like overgeneralized or whatever. I know that that's some kind of psychological whatever. So not nobody, but that is the main takeaway. When I was a little girl, I was there showing up for my dad. I was there showing up for my mom. And that's not to say they weren't putting a roof over my head or putting food on the table. I just, like, emotionally and spiritually, I felt really unseen, right? There were times, of course, I had shoes and I had clothes and I had toys and I had a bed and a blanket. Like, I had a lot to be grateful for. But I felt like they never asked how I was. They never, and I didn't know, like, that's what I needed, right? It just didn't happen, right? It wasn't part of the repertoire. So of course, as we grow, we make adjustments, a lot of us, right? Like we see something that is wronged in us and we don't want to continue that pattern. Sometimes we do, right? Sometimes we just don't realize things until we have a little bit of perspective. I've felt off. And, it's understandable. I can make excuses, right? I had surgery in April. I was out of town in June. I was out of town in July. I was out of town in July again. I was out of town in August. I'm gonna be out of town in September. In the midst of it, I had COVID. I have had family members going through a lot of things. I had kids move out. I had kids planning to move out. I have kids facing disappointments. I have kids becoming seniors in high school. I have Chris and I reconnecting. There's, of course, and that's just like within my own household here, right? So there's a lot of things going on, and it's understandable. And it didn't take until this weekend when like Chris was like, oh, let's go do something. And I'm like, I don't want to, like, and I'm the first one to be like, let's go. I'm ready. Like, I don't want to be in this house, especially after I had been like stuck in my room to help keep everybody else from getting COVID, right? So I chose to, right? But to isolate myself in order for their health and well-being, which was like a no-brainer, no questions asked, for me. Um, and you would think after that, I'd be like, I'm free. I want to get out again. And I just didn't. I feel like I have these things weighing on me, right? And some are silly things and some are heavy things and some are directional things. And it's just a lot. And do you ever feel like that? You have a lot going on. And sometimes we don't necessarily have the words or the realization that all these things are weighing us down, and they can be a lot of little things. Sometimes it can be a lot of big things. Sometimes it can be one or two big things and a lot of little things. Like it's a lot of mixtures in there. But I often felt growing up that people didn't want to help me. That it was my job to serve and help others. And I'm not, again, like I say, I understand. I got help in so many different ways. But this is the overwhelming theme. This is what I felt. I really believed that nobody loved me because I would see others. People would help them. People would show up for them. People would help with their homework. People would help with their questions. And yes, perhaps it was because I wasn't asking for help. I made it seem like I didn't need help. I think people who are similar like me, that have high energy and really do genuinely see the world with this beautiful filter, this I have such a optimistic and positive and wanting to do good and believing that others will do good too. Like that is my natural way. That is my default setting. That is at the foundation of who I am. That is really what I believe. So when I feel off, it feels even more uncomfortable with my skin. I'm not that anybody else though, because I don't know, but it's so overwhelming because it's so polar opposite of everything. I feel and I don't understand it and I get confused and I don't know why I'm here and there's so much to be grateful for. And it almost feels like my experience with my near-death experience, it had and the surgery, that all those things, the still holding on to all this swelling, the feeling literally physically uncomfortable in my skin is now it's been taking its toll, and I am mentally feeling uncomfortable in my skin. And I think about it in some ways, I'm like, girl, it's only been 4 months, right? Like it's literally been 4 months since you literally went to the other side. It's been 4 months since you had this major surgery. And it takes still more time. And I know that 4 months feels like an eternity to me, but really it's a blimp. It's such a small amount of time. And so I really need to learn how to, in a sense, see myself through other people's eyes and see that they do love me and see that they do want to help me and believe that, right? I tell my kids this all the time. I wish that you could see you through my eyes. So I feel all the time, how can I explain this? Like, it's almost worse than feeling pregnant, right? I've been pregnant 5 times. I've had 4 births. I've given birth 4 times. I haven't personally had 4 births. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. But I have given birth 4 times. And, that experience was different than this feels. This just feels so heavy in my stomach. And I just feel at all times like I'm gonna pop. Like that's how it feels. It feels like my skin is at its limits and it's just gonna blow. I can feel this way in the morning. I can feel this way in the evening. I can feel this way after I eat. There's no relief in it. Sometimes when I lay flat, thankfully I can lay flat now. I don't feel it as much. I do feel like a stretching and pulling and a little bit of a tug, but I just feel so heavy. I feel so bloated. I feel so unfamiliar in my body and my skin. And then I was in this place where I was near my, peak of athleticism, right? I could move freely. I can squat. I could do these things. And now I'm having to relearn, and I am doing it, for me, in a way that makes me feel proud. I've called in reinforcements. I'm like, listen, I think I have some pelvic floor dysfunction. I know for sure I am not using my body in the optimal way. My default setting, my right-handed setting, has got me by. But I know that there is some tweaks, because why do I know this? Because I'm in pain in places, and it's only on one side, and it's not like I have a slip. There's nothing that's saying I should have pain here. So my deduction is I've learned how to do something improperly in my body. I have learned how, through the course of nature and life and children and whatever the reasons are, I've adapted, and this is the way I walk and show up and squat and move in the world and stand to brush my teeth, whatever it is. And I'm having to relearn. At the same time, I'm also learning about a lymphatic system. I know I have lymph nodes. I know I've had, this, the doctors had believed I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I'm familiar with a lymph, right? And you would think, with all the surgeries that have been around me and all the illnesses and things, and even myself, like having this potential for the concern for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you would think I would have a little more grasp of the lymph system. Until this surgery, I had a very limited knowledge. I'm becoming more knowledgeable, utilizing myself, like, now once a week I get lymphatic massages. I know it should be more, but I am doing them once a week, and then I'm also doing them manually myself. I'm learning about this other system, this other part of me that I wasn't aware of. That's also a part of you. It is the lymph, and the lymph is heavier than the water in our body. It's heavier than blood. So yeah, it makes sense that I feel like I'm about to pop. It makes sense that it feels like I'm a balloon. It makes sense. And now, like, each and every day, like, instead of despising what's going on, I'm trying to look at my body with curiosity. I'm trying to understand what happened. I was one way when I walked into that operating room, and I was another way when I left. And what happened? And I want to know what happened so that I can aid my body. I'm not going to be able to do anything to miraculously make it go away tomorrow. I understand that. But what can I do to best foster an environment where my body can heal? Well, number one, with anything that we're going through, the number one thing is to learn. It's to heal. It's to accept where you are. It's to love me as I am right now. And so as I walked by the mirror today, I looked at myself, and I looked at myself with a little bit different eyes. I was like, wow, okay, I appreciate you so much. Like, again, I say on here, give yourself a compliment first. For years, I was on here, not years, but months I was on here, and even living in a theory of, give somebody else your smiles, give somebody else the compliments. And I forgot to do that for myself. And I would do it on an occasion. And again, when I started my journey, high-fiving myself, watching myself in the mirror, I've had this full-on transformation where I have been able to look at myself in the mirror running, or I've been able to sit here for 20 minutes and see my reverse reflection back at me. And not want to just sit there and scrutinize and pick apart, but to sit there and see me and appreciate whoever is showing up, whatever version of me that day is. So I think the number one thing to do is to just take a breath. Take a breath and appreciate who you are right now. And that doesn't mean you need to accept everything as this is the way it's going to be, but it can also be this beautiful thing of acceptance. It's about seeing yourself and realizing, where do I want to be tomorrow? So today, a part of today, because I was feeling a little bit of the blues this weekend and not really understanding, and, everything compounding, and feeling pressure of making decisions, and feeling pressure of financial things, and feeling pressure of traveling. And I know traveling shouldn't be a pressure, but it is, because I'm out of my systems, right? I'm out of my routines. I'm out of my habits, but yet I'm in this new place that opens me up and enlightens me. But I'm also exhausted, and I'm tired. And so there's a lot of different things. But the question is is who do I want to be. So a lot of today, I had to act like who I wanted to be tomorrow. I wanted to just lay in bed and do nothing. I wanted to slip on the TV. I wanted to put on the rest of this Biggest Loser documentary I was watching. Because I mean, again, it was this show, Biggest Loser. If you ever watched it, it was this show I wanted to be a part of, but I was too afraid of, like, oh, heck no, I'm not getting on front of a scale in front of millions of people, and I'm not leaving my family, and who knows, I don't even know if I could do this. Like, so, I've been watching this documentary, and all day I've just wanted to lay down and just watch more of the documentary and do nothing. And the last 2 days, I'm going to confess, I didn't even get my steps. I didn't get anywhere near my steps. I did puzzles. I watched a lot of TV with Chris. I didn't want to do much of anything. I snacked all day one day. I just felt so off. But today was a Monday, and you know how Mondays are for me. And I'm trying to push myself through this. I am understanding, I'm trying to be delicate and not forcing myself to do anything that is, like counterintuitive, but like, okay, I haven't been out in the sun in a while. Let me go get a few minutes of my vitamin D. Let me get my work done early. Let me plan some things out. Let me ask myself what it is I want to do, independent of others. With some of these decisions, I keep going to, oh, but this person, oh, but this person, oh, but this person, oh, but this person. And what if they want, like, I am in this part of my indecisiveness right now because I'm so worried about the schedules and the effect of my decisions on the people within my family. And I keep reminding myself that I need to live too. And there is a balance, right? I want to be here with my family, but there's a balance of when I also need to take care of myself. And so, figuring that out, getting quiet, spending time outside for me is huge. And then just being able to look at myself and see myself through a different set of eyes today. Not in the scrutinizing and the comparing and the disappointment. I just saw myself today. I saw myself for who I am today. And I was like, wow, it's amazing, because when I sit here in my head, I appear so different. Sometimes better. And other times I have this tendency to really, because I feel so uncomfortable in my skin, I feel like that's what's projected out into this world. And when I looked at myself, I just saw myself. I just saw myself for me. I saw myself the way I look at my kids. And I was really proud. I was like, you know what? I'm proud. No matter if you didn't do your steps this weekend, no matter if you ate all day, no matter if you slept the day away, I'm proud that you caught up. I'm proud that you are trying different things. You understand that maybe today you're not feeling great, and maybe yesterday you weren't, and the day before you weren't, and that makes it really hard to get motivated. That makes it really hard to do the baseline things that you want to do, your non-negotiables, but you're trying. Today I took a daily dose of dysregulation shower. I went out in the sun for a little bit. I got quiet with my thoughts without my phone. I, feel like those are the steps forward. There was a little bit of faking it to make it. And so I'm not saying I'm a fake person or all these things, but I needed to push myself through a little bit in order to feel that 1% better. And I genuinely do feel 1% better than I did yesterday. So I encourage you, if there's a time, if you're in a chapter, in a part of your life and your journey in which you're struggling, maybe everything else is fine, you don't even know what's going on, acknowledge it, appreciate it, like understand that it's there for a reason, whether to quiet you, whether to show you something. And I really want you to be able to have this place where you can choose what makes you proud. Is laying in bed and eating snacks all day make you proud? Do it without guilt, without worry about what other people think. Do it. If taking a trip, or if finally getting up and saying, you know what, I can go back to bed, but I'm going to spend 5 minutes out in the sun, or I'm going to get at least half my steps. Make a choice to show up as the version of you desire to be, the one that makes you the most proud. And it doesn't mean you're going to hit it every day, right? It's not realistic to think that every day is going to be a 10, right? But even though I'm feeling a little bit blue, a little bit down, it doesn't mean I'm still not appreciative to be here. I'm not so grateful that I woke up. I'm not grateful that I got a good sleep, and I'm not grateful that I've had the courage to come here and be with you. And so I say all this to say thank you so much for tuning in. I really want this to be a place that you accept who you are. You're vulnerable, and you understand that there is certain days they're going to be amazing, and you're going to be freaking singing zippity doo dah out your asshole. And then there's going to be days where you just cannot function being around another human being. I want you to understand and have compassion and understand that there's going to be days and times and months and years in which you feel uncomfortable in your physical skin, your mental skin, your spiritual skin, your emotional skin. You are going to feel off. But I want you to know that when you feel off, that is your opportunity to be curious. That is your opportunity to say, we need a change. We cannot continue to go on this path this way. What can I change? And so meeting yourself with curiosity, like for me, mentally, what's going on? Why don't I want to get up sleep? And it's not like, why don't you want to get up? You know, that's the way it used to be. Now it's like, why do you feel uncomfortable? What foods, what sleeping, what activities make you feel worse, and what makes you feel better? And let's do more that makes you feel better. Let's really continue to nurture our body, because even though it's been 4 months, we know this can take a year, and that means we are only a third of the way over this. We've got still quite the journey to go, and I've come so far in that timeline, right? Like, I'm so proud of myself. Or maybe it's a third of the way. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, so maybe we're not a quarter, we're a third of the way. We're closer than I thought. But nonetheless, still, I got a lot more work to do, and I have to remind myself to be compassionate to myself, to be nurturing, to be understanding. I maybe have a lot going on in my body that's not obvious, right? That makes me more tired. That makes me feel different than I did 6 months ago. So I say all this to say, please, as we said on here, what is the most important thing you can do today? I'm telling you, it's to give yourself a big smile and give yourself a compliment. Really just being able to see myself through like the eyes that I see my kids, which is like unconditional and pure, was such a gift to me today. It wasn't planned, it just happened, and I was like, wow, actually, you know what? You look pretty good. For feeling as uncomfortable as you do, you look dang good. So keep it up, girl. And then I also wanted to say, make sure you're giving yourself those smiles and those compliments. And some days you may need it more, and it may be more challenging. And saying it out loud, I don't know, it just has some kind of reconfirming like action to it. I would also love for you now to share that joy, right? Share that energy. If you're not going to go out in person today, please do it online. Share a good Yelp review, share a Google review, send somebody a personal email or a text, Facebook forum, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, and just tell somebody something nice. It takes 2 seconds of your time. But the more you see the world for the good, more you see the kind and the beauty in others, the more you will see it in you, the more you will see it in the entire world around you. And you become a part of this glow up. We are all these little, you know, speckles of dust and with glimmering shimmer to us. And the more we rise together, the better we will be. And so I say all this to say thank you so much for tuning in. I am so proud of you. I am so grateful for you. Keep up your great work. Keep up your sharing. I'm excited for the changes on the horizon. I know I keep saying that. I still have to figure them out, but I'm excited for them because I know everything we do, every time I sit here and film, every time I have the courage to upload it, we are getting closer and closer to the channel in which I am proud of, and that I am so proud that you are a part of. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Bye.